mistake I made. I purchased these Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s for my M3. If you see here, it has the M01 on the tread, which means it's Mercedes tire and in a revised generation. So this tire was made specifically for Mercedes, and they went back to the drawing board and updated the tire, so now it's in its second generation. I'm not sure what Mercedes vehicle it is. I'm running the factory size, the 255, 35, 19 in the front, and the 275, 35, 19 in the rear. Start my first track session. Session 1, I left the traction control on, put it in MDM mode, which is, if you guys aren't familiar with BMWs, is M dynamic mode. It's supposed to be like a halfway point between let's have a little bit of fun, but on the track, it is extremely intrusive. The car will not get you any slide whatsoever to no degree. There is no power until the wheel is perfectly straight. If there's wheels like that, it cuts power. It is way too intrusive, especially on the street. I think it's decent, but I think this track, no way. I would not. I just recommend turning it off to get the full experience, be able to know the car, not have to rely on electronics. Also, another thing, it overheats the brakes too, because if it's constantly adjusting, it's constantly applying the brakes to different wheels, individual wheels, to hopefully try to mitigate or be proactive, trying to hopefully prevent a slide or a spin. So I went to the first session, left it on. I was like, this is extremely intrusive. So I turned it off towards the end, and I could feel the back of the car it wanted to kick out a lot more than my 4S's. And someone said, you know what you need to do? You need to go ahead and drop your pressure down. These Cup 2 tires run off lower pressure. Now, and also I told them that I bought the tires used, so is that did they already done? They said, well, it all depends on heat cycles. I said, well, it's got pretty tread. They said, no, that's our compound, or tires like these go by heat cycles, not about the amount of tread that's left. So heat cycle means, I guess, is the time that it heats up and cools down. That counts as a cycle. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm assuming that the Cup 2 tires have X amount of cycles, and by them used, I don't know if I'm at the point where they are half its life is done or not. But what I've done was, tried to get them dialed down, bleed the pressure off. Went to my second session, and I was talking to another guy, and he had an E90 M3. And he's like, you know what? I'd love to go over for a ride with you to see. Now, this guy in M3, he was in the chrono group, which is like your high advanced group that they're timed event. I don't run in the time because, first, I'm not that experienced, and I just don't want to be that competitive with other people. I just want to be enjoying it for myself, enjoying the drive for myself for the event. So he was out there, he's riding. I said, well, if you want to ride in the car, it's great. I said, he said, great. I remember lap timer to see where you are, and I'd be happy to give you pointers. And I said, perfect. So during the drive, he didn't say anything. He was calm, he was quiet. And I just kind of think in my head, he's probably going to say something, probably at the end, probably tell me different lines and whatnot, because you can't hear anything. We got helmets on, the windows are down, the wind's blowing. So we're going through these turns, and I could feel the car just hold me back. And I think what upset me more was when I was trying to stay with this Mustang on the straightaway, and he hit the gas, I hit the gas, and he pulled away from me. I looked down, traction light flashing, and it will not give me power. And I was like, what is going on? Every upshift cuts power down. So I was like, you know what? After the second lap, I turned it off. Turned it off together. And I went ahead and just said, you know what? I want to drive for caution as opposed to bouncing off the stability system and the traction control, relying on that system. I need to learn the car. Drive slower, but learn the car. So we go through turns and everything's fine. The back end kicks out one little small turn, but it was enough for me just to correct. And guys, I've never been in a situation where I had to do this more than this correction. I think most of the time, most of the things I do, if you catch it early, you should be able to just to do a little bit of steering correction. Then that's all you need to do. I'm not doing any type of drifting events. Honestly, I had no experience in that. But this leads me to these tires. These tires are quiet. When you're cornering, you don't know when you're at the limit because they don't talk to you for sound. My 4S's would you start to hear a little bit of squeal, a little bit of noise as the tire is approaching limit, either if it's getting greasy or it's just saying, I'm giving up here soon. We're very predictable. To cut to not as predictable. It's just quiet. It just feels like you're just this and this. Also, the back end might do that. I might catch it. Okay, great. I'm okay with this little bit of that every once in a while. If I'm on these low speed turns and maybe I'm pushing a little bit too hard on the gas or things like that. But there was this turn, and we just had a driver meeting, and they were talking about, give us pointers on certain things. They say, some of these turns, guys, you should be able to stay flat out. For example, turn 8 on Thunder Hill, it's a high speed left turn and it starts to go up a hill. And they said that most cars should be able to stay flat out on that turn. So I don't know if most cars mean like Miatas, and I know Miatas, I know they can stay flat out, but what about, M3? Is that most cars category? I didn't know. There's Vipers and stuff in there. Obviously I'm not like fast like a Viper, but maybe I fit in that most cars category. Maybe I am going too slow. So the first lap I noticed I wasn't pushing out too wide enough, and you can feel, when you're on track, you notice you have a lot more room left over. You say, I could have went a little bit faster than that, and I could have used more track than when I did. So what I did was I said, next lap, I'm going to go ahead and go flat out. But of course, I'm stuck in traffic. It sucks. I'm sitting here like, this is. And finally, out behind us is BMW. I believe it was a E30, and he finally gave me the point by, and I went ahead and put past him, and I said, okay, this is where I need to go ahead and see if I can perfect on this turn. And I looked down at the display, and I saw 105, 110 before, and I'm still accelerating. And I'm thinking in my head, I probably should be maybe too fast, but I'm thinking if I use most of the track, I should be able to maximize my potential. So I go ahead and I say, all right, let me go ahead and go in the turn. So I go ahead and start to stick it in there, and there's a small dip in the track, and right when I hit it, the moment hit me where it felt like, Eddie, you're gonna wreck yourself right now. And I realized this is not a good situation right now to be in. Guys, for as long as I've been driving, I never have been in a high-speed skid. But I'll tell you what, when I hit this bump, and I probably was around, I think my passenger said that he looked over, he saw 120 on the speedometer. I hit that turn, and immediately the back of the car started to go into a skid. And I'm thinking, this can't be happening to me. Like, this car always sticks like glue. Why is it doing this now? At this moment, right now, I've never been off the track before. My first experience going off the track, I don't want to be at 120 miles an hour. So the first time it happened, I knew I had to correct. And without thinking about it, I already started to throwing in some opposite lock. But I knew that in my head, consciously, when you go in opposite lock, when you start to feed in wheel, you cannot. The car is going to snap back around, and there's no way you can catch it back in time. I just knew what was going to happen. But I'm just like in so disbelief. I said I got to stay ahead of the slide. To stay ahead of the slide. And when it went, and it felt like slow motion when it's happening. Looking at the video, it doesn't happen that way. But when you're in the car, it looks like slow motion. I remember just staying focused, kept my eyes up on the track where I wanted the car to go. And I remember just throwing the wheel, trying to get the car back. And I kept my eyes up on the horizon. As soon as I saw the hood start to go back this way, as I started to come back, I didn't wait for the slide to stop. I already started to unwind the wheel, hoping that I can prevent, if not catch a car going the other direction and be ahead of it. But the way that it happened, guys, the car immediately just came back and stopped. Now, I will tell you guys, there was no MDM, no stability system, the traction control. I had fully disabled the, I think I was DSC fully off. And I'm just I'm thankful that for God for that this happened, that I didn't wreck and spin out, flip over, whatever was going to happen with that skid. And immediately my passenger, he didn't say anything the whole time, but he's like, wow, nice save. And I'm thinking to myself, whew. I just kept driving and I'm thinking in my head like, boy, that was not intentional. I'm glad that you feel, that was great for me, but I was thinking in my head like that was not good. I never would do that again. But it was definitely a scary experience. And like I said, no warning whatsoever, just the tires just let go of me. But I'm glad I recovered. And of course, throughout the end of the track, I'm still trying to get the pressures dialed down. I'm still like, it's like 40 PSI. I'm trying to get it down to 35, 33 PSI for hot pressures, and they just keep climbing back up. These tires became greasy towards the end of the day to the point where I felt like I would crest hills, and there was one instant where the car just turned. It was scary then because earlier that day I was able to go over the turn flat out, and now as I was coming to the turn, it would kick on me. And I don't know, looking back at the videos, I could hear the brakes, the track brakes being applied. Now I had everything fully off. Why is the brakes coming on? I don't know if it was the car has something in there hidden. It was weird, but I could feel the brakes almost like it was trying to slow the wheel spin from being too out of control. But guys, I 100% tell you that I was full, nothing was on. But immediately, as soon as it came over the hill, I tried to correct it. I caught it real quick, thought maybe I'd catch it back, went back the other direction, and remember dropping off 2 tires off the road, off the track, and I was like, oh boy, that, again, no warning, scared the crap out of me. And then it finally happened. I finally spun it on the track. Last session of the day, and I even said at this lap, I'm probably gonna give my tires time to cool off because I felt like track temperatures are getting hot. Everybody else is starting to slow down, and I feel like I need to drive faster, I guess. And I'm in a more advanced group. Throughout the day, I think halfway through the group, I moved up. I asked some of the guys, and I said, I know that they require 8 days track experience. I have like 5 track a day experience, but I always feel like I'm being held back by people in my group. It was just frustrating because I can never get a good fast or just be able to. I'm always in a train of cars, and most of it just comes from the inexperience. People are focused on driving; they're not looking behind them to see, is there a car behind me? Do I need to let somebody go? And they will just keep driving. It's almost like left lane hogs on the interstate. So the instructor's like, yeah, great. But let me tell you something. You won't be the fastest guy on the track because those guys are fast. But as long as you're aware, as long as you know what's going on, and as long as you're focused on not only, it's not about going fast, but it's about being your awareness, your situational awareness, knowing the track, knowing everybody else, because people can pass you on straightaways without being a point by, and people can pass you in turns with the point. And also, there'll be cars coming behind me that I need to be watching for. So I thought I was doing a great job of that. But what I also didn't account for was those times where I get into traffic. Now, even with street tires, when they get greasy, a lot of times what will happen is I get stuck in traffic. Guess what? My temperatures and my tires cool off, right? So then I end up driving a couple fast turns, and then I get stuck in traffic again, tires cool down. And the car always feels like it's sticky every time. I never went through a full 20-minute session, like balls to the wall, where it felt like, okay, these tires are on it. So I just pushed, and I kept driving to the point where the tire said, I'm done with you. I'm done. And I was being cautious on something. I knew some of the places where the tires what I should watch out for. And this one tight turn, I came out of it, And guys, it was embarrassing because I never spun a car like this. The way that the track was going was an S-turn, a little chicane. And I needed to get the car pointed the right direction. Not even save the slide, but I need to make sure that the car can be pointed in that direction. So I might have overcorrected it. And when it came back around, it just, I mean, it was like no warning again whatsoever. It just snapped back. I went back to the direction, tried to catch the wheel. And I realized that the slide is not going to stop. I even touched the gas pedal a little bit to see if I can get the car to just to drive out of it, to see if I can do some weight transfer, but it was nothing, no response whatsoever. I think in the video I could see where the car kind of stopped, where it slowed the slide a little bit, where you got to touch the gas, but I got to a certain point, I realized there was no point, no return. Just hit the brakes and just stopped the car from hitting the wall, and I just stopped there, and it was embarrassing. So my lessons here, I guess, is just be mindful of my track, my tire temperatures. I think I had them displayed on the iDrive. I think after the slide looked at them, the rear tires are 40 PSI, and I think temperatures are like 178 to 180. So they're getting pretty hot. If I can do it again, I don't know. I might buy another set of Cup 2s, some brand new, to see if it's indeed my driving or if it's really the tires. I got to figure this out. I don't want to go into a full track setup just yet because I do drive a car on the street. I just don't know yet. But you guys have seen the videos. Let me know what you guys think. All right. Thanks for watching.